Welcome to everybody to the Violet Conversations, redefining the landscape for female entrepreneurs and women in business. Today I have the wonderful opportunity of introducing you and speaking with Kate McCormack. Now, Kate is a go-to marketing and business strategy expert for female entrepreneurs and micro business owners. She has a massive history of really big brands. We're talking about Jetstar, we're speaking about Just Jeans, Target Australia, Tabcorp, all of these. She's had high-level marketing roles for these brands. So we are very fortunate to have some time with Kate today because she's actually just started one of her group coaching programs yesterday. So again, thank you, Kate, for joining us. Very good of you to take time out.
Thanks
now, oh, you are welcome. So Kate, this is the juicy part. It's noted that you matched your corporate salary within 5 months of focusing solely on your business while allocating 20 hours a week. That is so impressive. I'm in awe. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
It's a mighty, mighty effort. So can you tell us or share with us, what did you do to go from startup to replacing your salary in just 5 months? Could you give us both a micro and a macro overview?
Yeah. Look, I think there are lots and lots of aspects to that, but there are a couple of key things. Number one was to actually bite the bullet and make the commitment to focus on my business with the time that I had, focus solely on my business, because I had dipped a toe in the water, but I'd also done full-time contracts and never really committed. So that was a big, scary step. Luckily, I was in a position financially to do that, and to actually have that time rather than trying to fit in a business around a full-time job or around, a few little people in the house, was actually the big thing for me, a huge thing. And that was, I think, part of just finding what works for you. Everyone has their thing, everyone has their way that they can work. For me, that was it. I needed actual time dedicated to my business where my children were at school or in care, rather than trying to do it when they were at home and never really actually doing a great job of anything, building a business or being a mum. Well, that was certainly the way I felt at the time. And so investing time and also investing money in my business. So one of the things that I did before I took the huge, scary leap away from that corporate salary was to actually get myself a business coach. So sometimes I say that to people and they're like, well, that's a bit weird. Why would you need a business coach? And I kind of thought that myself for a long time, but it's a really big learning curve going to building your own business from that safe space of the corporate world. So that support for me was, it's difficult for me to articulate how meaningful that was for me because of two things. One, she helped me to move forward and clarify things that I was really struggling with, things that were actually kind of simple in a way. She helped me to push past a lot of self-doubts and really made me own my value. That was her big thing. So let's have a look at the business that you want to build, and let's have a look at the time that you want to build it in, and let's see if they actually match. What's the reality here? And look at the fact that you've got 18 years experience or you've got an MBA. Like, don't undersell yourself. And that was huge. That was a massive step for me. Once I started to appreciate that and really own it and be able to have those conversations with potential clients with more conviction in myself, that was a big part of it. I think that, reaching out and asking for help, whether it's paid for help or whether it's, a group of girls that you form a mastermind with, that support network is just so critical. You know, I worked with a kinesiologist to get over money blocks that I had. I just explored anything that was holding me back, that wasn't just about building the strategy. And I think it was all of that combined. Plus, I was lucky enough to be in a position where I could actually focus on that full time. And I appreciate that not everyone is in that position. So that was a really big shift for me in my business. And also just owning what you're worth is just so important. And if there's things holding you back from that, you have to work out a way to puch through it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So in a more micro picture, I suppose, the day-to-day things that you obviously worked out with your coach and strategically set up in your business plan, that was what you were working to, obviously.
Yeah. And I think that actually it is about getting back to basics, because you tend to start a business and you're fueled by passion and desire to help others and all those really good things. And they are good and they're great and they're important, and they're the things that can really drive you when the times get tough. But it's easy to skip over all those things that I knew were really important, like the back to basics, planning, being really thoughtful, being strategic about what I was doing rather than being inconsistent. And this is all really, really simple stuff, but this is the kind of stuff that just gets left behind.
That is true. That is true. I've found that myself as well. And then when you bring yourself right back to it, yes, you can have a little giggle and go, really needed to do that. It wasn't. I mean, I don't think. I don't think you actually realise at the time that you're doing that, but sometimes things bring you back to those basics, and it's good. It's good. I think you become much more consciously aware of your choices, and that's a good thing. Yeah. Now, aiming higher. I heard a little bird told me something about you believe that there's a lot of women that ought to be aiming higher. Can you expand on that a little bit, please?
Yeah, look, I think you know, there's a lot in that discussion about why women in the corporate space, for example, are in the situation that they're in, and the fact that in this entrepreneurial world we're in this amazing space in Australia where women have so much more opportunity. But that often they can't. And I was this person, can't identify what's really sort of holding them back. I think that, you know, there are so many different ways, so many different things that you can potentially identify that are actually holding you back from aiming higher. I mentioned the money blocks before. For me, there was some things going on around guilt around earning more money, and it actually took someone to say to me, like, what is your problem with that? Why do you, because actually you're holding yourself back, Kate. It's not, no one else is holding you back. Like, you need to aim higher than what you're doing. And so I'm acutely aware of watching other people do it, and I still do it sometimes, because those blocks and those fears, they don't usually just disappear completely. They're always, well, they can come back and just tap you on the shoulder. Fear, especially. I think that, you know, you've just got to acknowledge that beast sometimes, and it's just there for the ride. And just, but as long as you can maintain momentum and keep on moving forward, rather than letting all of those self-sabotages stop you or stop your beautiful momentum. Just if you can stay in action, even if it comes back to just tiny steps each day in your business. They don't have to be huge sweeping movements, just something that moves you a little bit further towards whatever your goal is.
Fear is our friend.
Yes. Well, it's taken me a while to learn that and to really embrace that, because every now and again I think, oh my God, I'm so scared about that. So I've just launched this new group coaching program, and even though I coach my own clients through their own launches, and the fear that comes along with that, I had to reach out to my mastermind group because that process brought up fear in myself. And I didn't think that that would happen, but it did. It totally happened. And it was scary, and you're feeling exposed, just putting yourself out there more and more.
It's taken me over a year to put myself out there
Yeah.
on Violet. I was standing behind Violet, not hiding, not consciously hiding, but partly through being shy, partly through just always having other people as my focus. And so I put myself on the latest cover, and that for me was massive.
Yes.
It was so big. I can't articulate it seriously. It was really the big elephant in the room.
Yeah.
and yet, you know, I got so many lovely comments from people and positive, a lot of positive comments, which was really lovely. And I so needed that at the time. It was really nice. And I thought, you know what? It is time. It is time.
Yes.
And I have to just put those, you know, those fears or that shyness to one side and get on with it, because nobody's going to do it for me. And it's something that I really needed to develop. So, yeah.
And, you know, I think that part of that is understanding that actually the majority of people actually want you to succeed. That most of us don't actually have people out there who don't want us to succeed.
Yeah.
So when I did some Facebook advertising for the Amplify You Intensive, and I had people sending me messages going, love that photo in the ad. And every time I got one, I was just cringing. I was like, oh, sorry about that. You know, just popping up my big face in. And I'm like, no, don't be silly. You look so gorgeous. And you go through that process, and it's a really good reminder that actually your friends and your colleagues and your people in your network, they actually want you to succeed. And part of that putting yourself out there is like, oh, what will people think? Well, most of them will actually think pretty good things, really. Some of them might be a little bit jealous that you're actually taking those steps to, you know, you're the brave one. You're the one putting yourself out there.
It certainly was brave, that's for sure. I can't. It just seems sort of ridiculous in a way that it was such a big thing. But I suspect that was a whole heap of other lots of things over a period of time, not just actually having a picture of yourself on the front cover.
Get into that, but that might take a few hours.
I know. So, how do you counsel your clients when it becomes obvious through discussion, mutual discussion, that they could be, you know, or in your mind they're ready to aim higher and ought to be aiming higher? How do you do that?
I think that part of it is making sure that they feel supported in what they're doing. And you know, and that doesn't necessarily have to be by a business coach, but it is that whole concept that the majority of people in their lives do actually want them to succeed. And when they take these steps to build a bigger business, most people are going to be supported around them. And if they don't feel supported, to take steps to make sure that they do. So reach out to like-minded women, reach out in online networks that they're in, reach out to, yes, a life coach, a business coach, you know, whatever it is that works for them, just find that space where you feel supported and safe to actually take those big leaps. The Big Leap, you know, a brilliant book, of course, everyone has to read it.
That's it.
But you know, a big part of that is just helping them to understand that when they do that, good things, majority of the time, good things are going to happen for them. And also, one of the things that is really interesting in this space to watch, and I'm sure I've done it myself, is that women need to play to their strengths. So focusing on their strengths is actually what is going to give them that feeling of knowing, a feeling of conviction. So knowing that they're really good. So, for example, when I have a conversation with one of my clients and I'm in that space where I'm genuinely helping them, that's when I feel like I'm doing the best that I possibly can. But if I get stuck on doing things like, if I'm still stuck in that DIY stage where I'm continually doing things to my own website, or, I'm just doing things that I just don't have to do anymore, that's taking away all my attention from doing what I'm actually really good at. So if you want to share and be of service to your clients, or if you want to share your beautiful creations that you're making, whatever it is, you have to keep doing that. So move out of that DIY stage as you possibly can.
I can just see your face changing about that. Get out of that DIY stage. Move along. It's time.
And also don't hide behind it, because that's if people are scared, that is what can start to happen. Well, I can't actually do that with that person. I can't actually do what I want to do because I have to fix up my website. No, you don't. You don't.
No. You so don't. So, 3 tips for Violet readers.
Yeah.
That they can perhaps implement, straight away. Nothing's huge, but something that could improve their marketing strategy.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
So in terms of improving marketing strategy, I do think that bringing it back to basics is really critical. So actually, 2 huge things. One is you've got to get financial. So if finances are not your thing, you either make them your thing, or you become best buddies with your accountant or your bookkeeper or your partner or whoever it is in your life that's going to make money your thing. Because if you're not tracking your money, then you're never going to get to that income goal that you set out with. So I always say to people, and that's at any stage of business, so it can be right from the beginning, or it can be 2 years in when they're still saying, I'm not really sure how much it actually costs me to make that cushion, but this is what I want to sell it for. You have to get financial. You've got to own that space. Also, just to get a plan. And I know what I'm saying is quite basic, but these are the things that people tend to forget about. So that do the really simple things. Building a marketing strategy is not a hugely complex process. Go through the process of clearly defining what you want your brand to mean to people. Because if you don't define it, then it will get defined all by itself. By default, and it will turn into something that you don't want it to. So you need to, with my clients, I build a brand blueprint, talk about your core values and what you want the personality of your brand. It's really simple stuff. This is not hugely complex, but take the time to do these simple things so that anyone who's a guardian of your brand, anyone who copywriters, web designers, creatives, PR people, whatever it is, that they understand what you want your brand to mean to people. By doing that, it means that every single thing that you do has so much more impact.
And it's in total alignment, and therefore it does. It's like a freight train. It gains momentum.
That's
because
right.
You've got that same message going out all the time, and you've got it's congruent with your branding. Yeah.
Yes. And the beautiful concept of synergy where we talk about 1 + 1 = 3, so that, every single effort that you make on social media, every single ad that you place, every media release, whatever it is, every talk that you do, every interview, it's all, as you say, it is that alignment, and the impact is far greater than if each of those individual pieces was shouting from the rooftops a completely different meaning and message for your clients.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's 2 things. The third thing I would say is it's a combination, but it's personal stuff. So it's number 1, focusing on what your strengths are, but also identifying any mindset stuff that you've got going on. So look at yourself, if you can, critically, and acknowledge that maybe there are a few things that you've got to work on to really bust out of holding yourself at a certain level in your business. And you know what? Like, it's a unique person that's got nothing to work on. Most of us have got, no matter how big or how small, and they might just be really small. Everyone, you know, you might totally have your stuff together, or you might have massive things that you have to work through. But whatever it is, just think about that and think about how that's affecting your business.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really, really enjoyed it, and I'm sure the Violet readers will enjoy listening to your interview, and I'm sure they will get an enormous amount out of it. And I look forward to catching up with you another time, or you know, if you have something you'd love them to know, or feel that it's a great platform for you, please just get in touch with me.
Oh, thanks so much for having me, Aly. It's been great.
Oh, thank you. Okay, bye.